The most valuable thing I ever paid for, and the missing ingredient behind every pet business breakthrough. So, since 2015, I have never been without a coach or a mentor. Why? Because the 2 years previous to that were the most painful of my business life so far. Let me recap. I had had huge success when I launched Pack Leader Dog Adventures in 2011. So I foolishly assumed my next business venture would be just as straightforward. It wasn't. I launched an online store, which was a total disaster. Over 2 years, I spent tens of thousands of pounds on websites, SEO experts, pay-per-click experts, social media experts, you name it, but none of it worked. And I don't really blame them, I blame me. I had no strategy, I had no vision, and I had nowhere near enough knowledge to build the business that I wanted. So I eventually pulled the plug. It was a very expensive education, but it taught me one lesson that shaped every business decision I've made since. I needed help. So I went looking for people who had already achieved what I wanted to achieve. And since 2015, as I said, I've never been without a coach or a mentor to help me move forward in my business. Now, back then, I thought I needed more information, and there was certainly no shortage of information. I mean, there isn't now. The internet is full of blogs, videos, and articles from experts who were telling me what to do. And I found some people I like listening to, so I subscribed to their inner circles. I bought their programs, their books, and I consumed so much information, but that still didn't make me successful. I was missing the action-taking piece of the puzzle, and what I actually needed was someone to tell me which advice to ignore, which opportunities to pursue, and then really hold my feet to the fire until I'd actually done something about it. So I basically sacked off all the money that I was spending on the information, and I plugged into one coach who could help me come up with a plan of action. Now, looking back now, I can honestly say hiring a coach has been and continues to be one of the highest ROI investments I've ever made. See, a good coach is going to ask you questions. It's going to challenge your thinking and give you the confidence to make bigger decisions much faster than you would otherwise. Which brings me to something I have been asked a lot recently. Dom, what actually happens inside the Dog Daycare Success Academy? And that's a fair question, because from the outside, it can look like I'm teaching the same things I already write about in this newsletter, I talk about on the podcast, or I share from the stage when I'm speaking. And I'm talking about things like, you've heard me talk about these things before: premium pricing, how to raise your prices, how to build memberships, how to email your list more often and communicate better, how to create better experiences, how to attract affluent clients, how to become the expert choice. Now, if I talk about those things all of the time, then why do people pay to join a program where they can hear me talk about that in much more detail? It's because coaching and consulting is about a lot more than just sharing innovative ideas. So over the next few newsletters, I'm going to share 5, sometimes hidden benefits of hiring a coach. These are things that I've experienced in my own business. And we're going to start with number 1, clarity. Now, for sure, a coach will give you new ideas, but what they really give you, the good coaches anyway, they give you clarity. They help you decide what actually matters over the next 90 days, which should feed into the goals you've set for the next 1, 3, and 5 years. You do have goals, yeah? If not, you might need them, which might be another reason for you to consider hiring a coach. Now, as business owners, we have so many opportunities, especially in the pet industry, which is ever growing and changing, and there are new innovations happening all the time. But which opportunity deserves your attention right now? And the truth is, you don't have a system to identify that yet. I didn't back in the day. And I remember the first mastermind I attended way back in 2016. I was really nervous about the hot seat. I had a successful local business. I had been burned with my online store, but I had an idea to start coaching other business owners, many of whom had already started to ask me for help and advice. So I kind of knew there was a demand for this. Now, I left that meeting with a really focused plan, and within 3 months, I had fully systemized and staffed my dog adventure business, so I didn't need to think about that anymore. And I had created a lead magnet to help me build a list of dog business owners, many of whom bought my initial products and went on to become lifetime clients. Now, over the next 12 months, I actually experienced what Dan Kennedy calls the phenomenon, which is where you make more progress in 6 months than most people do in 6 years. I launched my pet business in a circle. I ran a 2-day boot camp. I wrote my first pet business book, and I launched a high-ticket, small numbers group coaching program. All of that came because I had total clarity about what I wanted and what I needed to achieve to get there. Now, I wasn't necessarily 6 months smarter or 6 years smarter. I'd stopped trying to do everything, and I'd started focusing on the handful of things that were actually going to move me towards my goals. And this is one of the big things we help people with inside of the DDSA. My members, when they first join, they do a life and business audit where we identify exactly what they want. So before we talk about pricing, marketing, or memberships, we get crystal clear on where they want to go, what's standing in the way, and we identify a handful of projects that are going to really make an impact on the business over the next 90 days and beyond. And by make an impact, I mean, increasing profits, freeing up time, removing stress, enabling the team, or removing some kind of big business blocker. One of my favorite examples of this is Sean and Jenn from Green Lane Pet Resorts. Now, when Sean and Jenn joined me and my program, they already own 6 super successful facilities. They built an incredible business, and ideas weren't really the problem. But in Sean's words, they were often in the idea phase. So they would discuss an opportunity, they would analyze it, and they would second guess each other. Then they would carry on doing what they'd always done. They couldn't decide which opportunity deserved their attention first. However, once we got everyone aligned behind a handful of key priorities, things quickly changed and improved. We implemented price increases, introduced a new induction program. We started emailing, communicating with our clients more often. We changed up how they demonstrated their expertise in their social media activity. We added new enrichment activities and packages, and a ton more stuff as well. This resulted in higher customer spend, way better marketing, and they finally had that momentum that they were looking for. And there's no more feeling stuck when you work with a coach who brings clarity. So Sean summed it up, I think, perfectly when he said they'd made more positive changes in a few months than he could remember making in years.
So before working with Dom, we had trouble figuring out exactly what changes we wanted to make. We were often in the idea phase where we could conceptualize the changes that we wanted to make, but we were also in a second guessing phase. So we would talk about the ideas and we would analyze ideas, but we weren't necessarily reaching alignment internally. So the solution became to just continue operating the way we had been for a while. And we were having trouble getting into the action phase. We had an initial call, and it was super easy to get comfortable with Dom, and he was able to get all of the key members of the call to share their thoughts openly and honestly. And he kept digging. When he heard misalignment, he kept digging, and he got everyone's thoughts and opinions and started to create alignment on that very first call. And so after the call, Dom followed up with a detailed plan of what we would be doing should we decide to sign up for the accelerator program. And to say he hit the nail on the head in regards to the areas we were doing a great job in and pointing out the areas where we could make some major improvements would be an understatement. It was a fully honest assessment from someone who knows the industry and could take a very objective look at our business. And after seeing his assessment, we all agreed that we needed to hire Dom and execute on the plan that he laid out.
And that's exactly what I experienced, and it's what clarity will give you as well. Look, running a pet business is brilliant, but it's also hard. We love it, but it's hard work. Even if you've got great managers, you've got solid systems and a brilliant team, you still only have so many hours each week to work on the business instead of in it. So here's my question. What are the 3 biggest things your business needs over the next 90 days? The 3 things that if you actually got them done would make your business way more profitable, less stressful, and more valuable. Do you even know what those 3 things are? Or are you somehow hoping you'll stumble across them? Because a good coach will help you identify the high leverage, business critical things that can and shouldn't be ignored. You will finally have clarity. And once you have it, big changes happen fast. Right now, you are probably feels like you are driving through thick morning fog. And at first, you can only see 20 yards in front of you. Every decision feels uncertain. Maybe it's even dangerous. So you creep along at a sloth-like pace, second guessing yourself, wondering if you're even on the right road. Then suddenly, the mist lifts. The road hasn't changed at all. It was there all along, only now you can finally see where you are going. And that is what clarity feels like in your business. With a clear goal, you have the ability to cut through all of the noise and identify what actually matters, and then commit to getting it done. You stop lying awake wondering if you're working on the right things. You stop chasing every new idea that pops up on a Facebook group or at the next conference you attend. And instead, you wake up knowing exactly what needs to happen next. I'll be honest, clarity feels like a superpower. And that's one of the reasons I still invest in coaching today. Now, one final thing. If you are trying to figure out all this stuff on your own, please stop. I did that. It cost me 2 years of my life, tens of thousands of pounds, and a lot of stress. If you have a successful pet care facility, but you lack clarity about how to take it to the next level, then I'll be honest, the last thing you need is another book, another podcast, or another Facebook group. You need to work out what you want your business to go in, what direction. You need to identify what's stopping you getting there, and you need to build a practical, personalized 90-day plan to move you forward. If you would like my help putting a plan together, you should 100% check out the Dog Daycare Success Academy. Inside my DDSA, we specialize in helping you build a business that is more profitable, less stressful, and a lot more fun to own. And you can add your name to the wait list by going to petbusinessmarketing.com/Success Academy, or click the link in the comments below. Thanks for watching.